Boom. We show up even on a Sunday. That should tell you something. I need to center my my frame. Uh-oh. How's that? Is that okay? Tell me that's okay. Somebody please break it down for me. I usually don't come to you on a Sunday. I had to come into the office because the Member of Parliament for Kanyama and his team are planning to run a drainage system. Hey, Bo, I see you. An open drainage system in this area to ameliorate. You know the word to ameliorate? To sort of reduce the issue of flooding in the CBD. So the engineers came through today on a Sunday, and I wanted to be there so that I know what they're doing in and around Simoson building. Well, not in the building, but outside, directly outside of the building. There's going to be a huge drainage that's going to run through along Kalushabwalia Road and bleed into Lumumba Road. So because they were doing that, I wanted to be here for that because, you know, that directly affects our business, and I just wanted to know exactly what the plan was, and you know, I think they've assessed it and they're going to do a good job. And I think that when the dust settles and when the dew dries, the issue of flooding, at least in this part of town, will be drastically, if not magnanimously, reduced. Tell me, guys, in the comments. So I said all that to say, while I was here at the office and while the engineers were doing what they were doing, I figured, well, you know what, let me pop up the office and see if I can do a quick video, a live video. And now keep in mind, we have a roster. You know a roster, you know what that is? We have a power roster here in the CBD. The power could just be turned off any second, and that could happen. So if and when that happens, don't be surprised. All the lights are going to go out, and hopefully I can make my point before that. Alan says, mwewa, Sunday also. No, I don't work on Sundays, as I've explained. The only reason I came to the office today was to see what the engineers were going to do as far as the drainage system in front of Simoson building. I wanted to know what they were going to do, so I popped in today. I don't work on Sundays. Sundays is family time. My family and I. It was my first daughter's birthday today, so we all went out and had a really nice like late brunch breakfast deal with my kids, my wife, my in-laws, and a couple of my nephews and nieces, and we had a really, really nice time. So somebody says, Simon, how are you? I'm well, thank you for asking that. You know, sometimes when I look at look at myself on this front-facing camera, my eyes appear a bit red sometimes, which I don't know why that is. Is it because, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. And sometimes people say to me, you look tired. You know, honestly, I don't feel tired. I'm okay. You know, some of you know, for those of you that watch me for any length of time, you will understand that I've gone on a quest to intermittently fast. So I'm fasting intermittently. You know, sometimes I'll do 10 hours, sometimes, 12 hours, I'll go without food. I try and avoid eating food after 7 p.m. That doesn't always work because, the hunger pangs attack you. And, but I will say this though, 9 days, today's my 9th day, no sugar, no Coca-Cola, what else? No bread. And I feel slightly better. I really do. Of course, my biggest struggle is trying to keep away from food after 19 hours. I will say, though, I do not snack I've 9 days, guys. Give me a break, because I know somebody's going to say, "But mwewa, you just look the same. Eh? What are you talking about intermittently fasting? You are just as heavy-set as you were 9 days ago." Trust Facebook to put you in your place, boy. Any smidgen of happiness, you guys want to snuff it out. Well, hey, listen, it's a journey, okay? It's a journey, and it's going to be this way. I hope. No, not I hope. I am determined, because when you say I hope, you leave room for failure. I am determined to change my lifestyle in as far as eating is concerned. I haven't even added exercise to my regimen. Believe it or not, guys, when I was in my teens, 19, 20 years old, up to about 25, 27 years old, I was ripped. Believe it or not. I mean, people look at my old pictures and they think, was this you? I look a bit like Rambo. I mean, there were times I was so ripped, because I used to gym a lot. I was inspired a lot by Rocky Balboa. Sylvester Stallone's character, Rocky Balboa. And when I was young, I used to jog a lot. I used to go to gym quite a lot. And in those days, that's what young people did. It's not like now where young people spend half their time on social media. When I was growing up, you went to the gym, and I remember distinctly, I was so ripped. There were times I'd be walking past a bunch of young ladies and they would start singing, "A hunk of burning love, a hunk of burn." That's not true. That never happened. But it did in my head, okay? Because I was that ripped. I'm being silly. All right, guys, let's get into it. I want to talk to you about something. Please tell me in the comments below if we are loud and clear. Okay, let's start there. And there are a couple of things I want to talk to you about, and I'm going to try and keep it under 25 minutes because, people's attention spans, especially on a Sunday. Oh, by the way, did I tell you earlier today, my family, we watched this beautiful film on Netflix called It Ends With Us. Anything Blake Lively is in, I'm watching. Beautiful film. If you haven't seen that, lovely, beautiful. You're gonna like that. If you love tear-jerking movies, a movie that sort of swells you up in here. Oh, honey, this one's a good one. This one's gonna make you sob, boy. It's gonna make you shed a tear. I loved it. All right, let's begin with, who did I say we're starting with? Chilufya Tayali. Many of you know that he's gone on a campaign to vouch for Elias Musiani. Elias Musiani is a social misfit that Chilufya Tayali has taken it upon himself to vouch for. Now, if you don't understand the role that Musiani has played in this whole social media scandal, let me condense it. Basically, in a nutshell, Musiani jumped on his Facebook page and he threatened to gang rape Kiddist and to kidnap her child. That was the issue. In response to that, Kiddist and her family, Yomaps, her husband, they withdrew their child from the school. They hired extra security because, they were concerned for their lives. These are celebrities. And all celebrities should take caution when they're threatened in that way. Anybody can come out of the woodworks and fulfill a threat that some abstract person has issued. So you can never assume that, no, those are just jokes. No, Venzolaka Chabe per Facebook. There's nothing like that, Bwana. When it comes to people like that character that threatens to gang rape your wife, threatens to abduct your child, don't take those things lightly. It's nothing to be taken lightly. It has to be taken seriously. And I'm amused and shocked that someone like Tayali would say that because, I wonder, Tayali having children, if one of Tayali's children got married and then she told Tayali that, someone is threatening to rape me and to gang rape me and to abduct your grandchild. I don't think Tayali would say to his daughter, "Oh, come on. Don't pay any attention to that, girl. He's just messing with you. He's just playing around with you." No. he wouldn't say that. And the reason he defends Musiani is because he has the same character as Musiani. And I was amused. I watched a little clip of Tayali, because, he had posted, he says, I'm going to respond to Kiddist Yomabson by Simon. He calls me by Simon. He's such a mess. Anyway, he responds, and he literally bemoaned. He bemoaned the fact that we reminded him of the reason his character lands him in trouble. We reminded him that his first wife, a lady from Rwanda, divorced him because he was having an incestuous, is that the word? Tell me in the comments. Incestuous relationship, sexual relationship with his niece. One of the reasons she divorced him was because he was having carnal knowledge of his niece, who at the time was much younger. He was physically abusive to her. He was very toxic in that marriage. Now, these are things that are in the court document. I'm not outing him. These are things that were brought out in her divorce petition. Now, Tayali was trying to justify it by saying, no, you can't talk about that relationship because when we are getting divorced, those are very painful things. So in a divorce, we say things that we don't mean. My ex-wife said things about me that were not true. I also said things about her that were not true. But that's neither here nor there. The issue is that information is contained in the divorce petition. So far be it from us to begin to say, no, maybe your ex-wife was just making it up. No, that's what's in the document. Now, the reason these issues are being brought up is because Tayali has gone on a very high-octane campaign to start lecturing the Oleos about family virtues, when he is in no moral position to do any of that. That is our point, and that is the position. We believe that Tayali is woefully disqualified. Tayali is inadequate to talk about family values because he himself is a dissident. He himself is a divergent. He himself is an indigent. He is a product of a deranged mind. He is a sexual predator, a child molester, a purveyor of moral chaos. So how then can a person who has a history of having carnal knowledge of his niece, how then does that person become the beacon of family virtues? Please answer that for me in the comments before some of you start accusing me of being a hater. It goes back to that old saying, those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. I mean, it's simple. So of course it's going to attract attention. When Tayali speaks the loudest, when he screams the loudest, no, family, marriage, and yet he possesses none of those virtues. He's a man that almost unalived himself because he couldn't contain his fear of divorce. He almost took his own life because he couldn't master his own fear of divorce. Divorce that he brought upon himself because of his character. Are you listening to that? So then, how then does that become a person who shouts and stands on the highest mountaintop talking about family values, the virtues of family? You are disqualified. You have no moral right to talk about those things, because you don't live them. You don't live them. They are not part of your psyche. They do not make up your interpersonal relationship skills. Those tools do not exist in your toolbox of life. So you can't use them because you do not possess them. Are you hearing that? Somebody says Pandora's box. Indeed, Pandora's box. And any time you have someone like Chilufya tayali who's defending you on social media, just know that you are not going anywhere. He's the worst possible person to have as a surrogate. He is the worst possible person to have as an advocate on Facebook. His advocacy starts and ends on Facebook. The real meat of the matter is in that courtroom. Tayali has no influence over anything. We, social media people, have no influence over anything. Everything and anything that happens in a court of law is subject to the authority in that court. It's got nothing to do with social media personalities. So you are deranged if you think that Musiani and his family are making a very big mistake by allowing Tayali to talk for him. Because Tayali's advocacy is making Musiani's case very difficult. Because now Musiani is standing in illegal sandy-quick. Sorry, not sandy-quick. Quicksand. Sorry. Quicksand. The more he moves with Tayali, the deeper he sinks. That is what it is. And you are foolish and naive if you think otherwise. My admonition to Musiani's family: you have created your bed, lay in it. You've made your bed, lay in it. It is what it is. When the dust settles and when the dew dries, you are only going to be standing there in that court of law alone. No one is going to come for you. No one rescues anyone. We've been there. We've been sentenced. I spent 6 days in Mwembeshi. Who was there? There was no one. It's just your family. Wasira. These Facebook people, they don't even come to court. Nobody comes to court. It's just your wife, your children, and your mother and father if they're alive. Wasira. Not Facebook, 300, 2,700 people are commenting. None of them will be there when the time comes. And I guarantee you, the time will come. It will come. And when it does, you just deal with it. And let me say it again. Musiani is charged with threatening violence, which carries with it a minimum sentence over 3 years. If I'm correct. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, because I know some of you will correct. I love this accent. Why are we struggling with Louisiana when we've got this Zambian beautiful accent? Huh? So you must understand that. The charge is threatening violence using an electronic medium. Now keep in mind, there are laws, there's a framework, there's a digital framework that protects you and I against such things. The digital landscape has changed. It's not like it used to be 20 years ago. Now, when you say things on social media, it is your Waterloo. You're going to dance pirikiti, or is it perekete? Because that's how the law is framed. So if you are found wanting, if in fact that magistrate, if the prosecution proves beyond a reasonable doubt that in fact, indeed, you threatened violence, and it is proven that you did it from your Facebook page, then they'll find you, the court will do the needful without being presumptuous. So just understand that. Or dance perete. Yes. All right. The last thing I want to talk to you about, and I'm so pleased we still have power. John General. You guys know this false prophet out of Matero. What a mess. This, another man that's a complete misfit, a sexual predator within Matero, you know, and he leads a cult, a congregation that is full of the most deranged people that you've ever met. Because, you know, these false prophets preside over sheep that are highly manipulated, brainwashed. These false prophets that call themselves prophets can say to a woman who is having challenges as far as her fertility is concerned, they can say to a woman, you come to my house or I come to your house and I will pray with you. I will place my hands over you. And all he's doing is fondling her breasts. And then he says to her, you know what? In order for you to be fertile, I have to release myself in you. Now, because these women are subservient to these prophets, these false prophets, they are so brainwashed, they believe everything and anything a false prophet tells them. In the case of John General, the lady that John General has allegedly raped, she had fertility problems, and John General said, "Buena tipanga, come we make." He goes over to her house with a cohort. They walk into their house, and she said in court that her husband was not aware that John General was coming to pray for her. Now, guys, this is a problem, especially Pentecostal women that belong to Pentecostal churches headed by these cult leaders calling themselves false prophets. Red flag when your wife does not tell you that a so-called prophet is coming to pray for you. Red flag. That so-called prophet just wants to eat you. And in fact, if anything, I know John General probably told that woman, don't tell your husband. Don't tell him. When John General went over to her house, he went there with one of his lieutenants. The job of the lieutenant is to scour the area, to look through all the rooms, to make sure that there's no one else there, to create an environment where only John General and the victim are alone for the purposes of sexual exploitation. That's all it is. These guys are the most deviant people. And I must tell you, the other day I saw one of these ZNBC guys hanging around with John General. Don't hang out with John General. He is an accused rapist. He is a sexual predator, a deviant. Not long ago, he kissed a little girl on video. A little child, 5, 6, 7 years old. He wet kissed a little child on her lips. And nobody said anything. The mother of the child was standing there watching this so-called prophet wet kissing her child. Nobody said anything. You know why? Because they are brainwashed. Brainwashed. If you belong to such a church, you run from that church like you would run from a boa constrictor. You run from that church like you would run from a gaboon viper. Get yourself in a Bible-based church somewhere that preaches hell hot, heaven pure, and Christ holy. Do that. Don't be part of these fly-by-night churches. In conclusion, John General's in a pickle. He's going to get his comeuppance. I will be shocked and surprised if he gets away with this. I doubt it. Because once you enter the legal system, Don't mess around with court, boy. Court mess you up. Court puts the letter M in mess. Court ruins your day. It throws you off of your trajectory. Don't mess around with court, boy. And once you're in the legal system, it's all over. All right, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go home. Thanks for watching. God bless.